Scored 7 goals in the month of April and want to win their third straight at home. Atlanta United 2 took its first loss of the season at home Tuesday and start a rough 3-game road stretch today, trying to get back on track. Two teams with one combined loss meet tonight at Highmark Stadium when Atlanta United 2 faces Pittsburgh Riverhounds SC next on ESPN+. Good evening and welcome to Highmark Stadium on the banks of the Monongahela River in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I am Matt Geica, Paul Child is alongside, and we're pleased to present to you on ESPN Plus a USL match between the Pittsburgh Riverhounds SC and Atlanta United 2. And Paul, Pittsburgh welcomes in another MLS 2 team, if you will, an affiliate team of an MLS squad. A young team in Atlanta United 2, players as young as 16 years old. But you know what? They've gotten off to a good start. Just the one loss this past week. But it should be quite the challenge for Pittsburgh tonight. No,
I think it's two good teams together, Matt, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously Atlanta's coming off a loss last week, or this week actually. And that's in Pittsburgh's favor, but the Hounds have started scoring goals, which we thought they would, and it's great to see that happen. So it should be a great matchup here. As you see there, Atlanta's offense has dried up recently. Just 2 goals in the past 3 matches. Tough to get points that way. They got a couple of draws, but then as we mentioned, blanked for the first time this season Tuesday in Charleston. As for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, it's been quite the start. Best start in franchise history, in fact, at 2-0-3. They're 2-0-1 here at home. Last time we spoke to you from Highmark Stadium, the Hounds dispatched Ottawa Fury 1-0. It was a 2-2 draw on the road at FC Cincy last week, Paul, and quite the battle between two teams in front of a boisterous crowd. The Hounds held their own. No, the Hounds did very, very well. I got to talk to Bob Lilly about that, and he was really pleased with the output from the team. A little bit disappointed that he couldn't come away with 3 points, but happy in the result anyway, and looking good. I mean, he said they were looking great in the second half, just couldn't finish it up. The Riverhounds led 1-0 and 2-1. Couldn't hold on to the full 3 points, but as you see there, in pretty position in the the USL Eastern Conference, 5th place. And as you see, both teams have scored 7 on the year. The difference is the Hounds' defending has been staunch, and Pittsburgh is tied, in fact, for the team lead with 4 clean sheets. Coming up next on ESPN Plus, it's Pittsburgh and Atlanta United 2 right here at Highmark Stadium.
Ow.
Okay,
oh.
I'm sorry. Okay.
That one a little bit.
A little bit right here?
Yeah, right there.
Well, it looks like we can treat this in just a cast. So is this your first time getting a cast?
Yes.
Does it feel nice?
Yeah, it feels nice.
Call 412-DOCTORS for a same-day appointment at Allegheny Health Network.
Cheer on your Hounds at Highmark Stadium. Tickets start at just $13, making a Hounds match the most affordable pro sporting event in town. Get your tickets today at riverhounds.com and unleash with the Hounds.
Through the years, you've done right by investing in your home. And now, you can use that equity to borrow money for the things you need. With a low 1.99% APR and no fees, you can apply for a home equity loan online and use the money to upgrade to that minivan, make home improvements, or finance college. At Clearview, we can help you find ways to use the equity in your home for more important things. Let us help. Visit us online for more information. Clearview Federal Credit Union, the next generation of personal banking.
A lot of clients ask us what makes us different. The first thing that comes to mind for me is Joyce's signature collection. We truly are jewelers. We're passionate about jewelry. We understand the process of making jewelry and what it takes to make the highest quality product at the best value. We travel the world to bring back and create the most unique diamond jewelry collection that you will find anywhere. If you've never shopped Joyce's, I personally invite you to visit our store. I know you're gonna love it.
At Joyce's Jewelry.
Cheer on your Hounds at Highmark Stadium. Tickets start at just $13, making a Hounds match the most affordable pro sporting event in town. Get your tickets today at riverhounds.com and unleash with the Hounds.
Back at Highmark Stadium in Pittsburgh, PA on ESPN Plus, it is USL Soccer. I am Matt Geica. Paul Child is alongside to provide the commentary as well. The Riverhounds against Atlanta United 2, and here is Atlanta United 2's starting lineup. Playing three across the front with Gallagher, the Irishman, 3 goals on the year to lead this team, along with Carleton and Sandoval. In the midfield, Gosselin, Shannon, and Kendall Moulin. And 4 across the back, Ambrose, Cochran, Robinson, and the captain Metcalf. And in goal, making his second appearance, Paul Christensen. As for the Riverhounds, decked out in gold and black as usual at home, Nico Brett and Cristiano Francois are stationed up top. Mohamed Dabo, Kevin Kerr, Canardo Forbes in the attacking midfield. And then, well, what do we have here? A 5-man back line with Vunky Azil and Adewale and Pratzner getting help on the wings from Dover and Lee. And Paul Child, the rookie goalkeeper. And Kyle Morton gets his second appearance. He shut out Toronto FC 2 here 3 weeks ago.
Now, he's playing really well as well. I can't understand why Bob would take him out at this stage. You know, he looked good at practice yesterday too.
Morton, as we mentioned, perfect in his pro debut. Last time he was out on this field, that was the makeup match, and one of 2 matchups against these MLS affiliate teams that are in the USL. Atlanta United 2, though, unlike Toronto FC 2, is in its first year. So Atlanta United 2 coming out here in the white as you see them moving from right to left on your screen. Ambrose taps it here to the backtracking Kendall Moulin.
Boy.
A little bit of a nervous moment there to dish to Christensen at the side of his net.
Yeah, Nico was looking for that one, and if it a little bit slower or a bit more of a off target, he would have sniped that away from him and took a shot on goal. But Atlanta coming out, it looks putting a lot of pressure right away, and Hounds trying to get it back now and do the same kind of thing.
Here's Jordan Dover, who scored his first pro goal at Cincinnati last week at a packed Nippert Stadium, 25,000 plus in the Queen City of Ohio. Was one of the top 5 crowds in North American pro soccer last weekend, in fact. Hounds were juiced up, so said their coach Bob Lilly in his first year with the Hounds. Lilly continues to show tactical flexibility as he's mixed up some formations, again with the 5-man back line just like he did last week at Cincy. He repeats that tonight. And here's Morton getting a first handle on it.
Yeah, this is a different kind of a lineup, isn't it? He's kind of got 5 at the back, but I think what he's going to try and do is get the outside players to get down the line and get some crosses in, trying to get 2 players up front to get on the end of those crosses, Matt.
Well, you talked to Lilly too. He still wants more attack orientation from this team, even though they've been terrific defending. Kerr heads this one up forward, and it's off him last, so rules the referee Kevin Broadley. But yeah, you were speaking with him. Whenever I talk to him, he continues to say we want to be on the front foot.
Yeah, I think we always give him a hard time about being a defensive coach, you know, from being around for such a long time. Well, I do, and other people, but I think he knows he's got a strong defense, and now he's trying to shear up the front of the front line and get some more shots on goal.
Here's a takeaway by Cristiano Francois. He was a sub last week at Cincy, this time in the starting 11, as he has been previous to last week. Morton will drive it away from the top of the area. Knotted right back in on the keeper Christensen by A.J. Cochran, who at 25 is really one of the senior members of this Atlanta United 2 outfit. They have an average age of 21. Ambrose collects here. He's a 24-year-old, so he has some experience here on the backside of things for Atlanta. Up front, they're a little bit younger.
Yeah, and you're going to have that with MLS #2 teams, as we've seen with Toronto and Red Bulls and anybody that comes in here. They usually have that core of 3 or 4 players that are usually real young, and they want to get them experience and see what it's like.
It's part of a 3-game and 8-day stretch for Atlanta United 2. They tied Louisville 1-1 at home last week. Louisville right at the top of the standings in the Eastern Conference at 4-0-1. Only they and the Hounds are still unbeaten in the USL East. But then that 3-0 loss to Charleston. Kind of weird to look at the stats, though, Paul. They had 75% possession.
Yeah.
So whenever they did cede the ball, well, Charleston took advantage. Here's Brett playing that off the chest of Cochran, so a deep throw for Pittsburgh.
That's where the game's kind of crazy sometimes, Matt. You've got possession all the time and just keep on like hitting brick wall, and it just doesn't penetrate, and then the other team gets a counter attack and gets down the field quick and gets a shot off. I saw the goals that Atlanta got scored on, and some good shots and good goals.
They
inside
were,
of the post, one, and a rocket with a left footer, and so sometimes you just get caught that way. Obviously they're trying to bounce back right now and get away from here with obviously 3 points. I'm sure they would look for, but I'm sure Bob's Lily don't want that to happen too. Yeah.
Christensen, who has the ball at his foot, getting the start here. Typically it's been Nick Carreau. He played against Charleston, but he gets the rest. He's 27, Christensen's 22. Christensen more of the prospect, two-time West Coast Conference Player of the Year.
Boy, he was
at
on
Portland.
side.
Here's a play over the top, and Brett's going to be able to chest this one down. The flick on back, Francois. The Haitian native, Francois, lays it out to Dover, into the middle, and Christensen on one hop gobbles it up.
Yeah, I thought Brett should have got on the end of that a little bit quicker. He seemed to kind of like casually go there, and that knew this player, and that's what they were practicing on Friday, you know, down the line, crossing balls, trying to get 3 players running in and get on the end of these crosses, and that was a typical example of what they were practicing on Friday when I got down to this practice session.
Dover, in an individual effort, really. He slalomed through some Cincy defenders last week to score in the opening 10 minutes. The Hounds led, as I mentioned, they had 2 different leads. They led for a long time. Cincy was pretty urgent from that point to try to rally back, and it's the first time all year that the Hounds have not had the edge in possession or shots, so they had to play more of a counterattack at times last week. Here's Atlanta trying to work it forward, and it's off Pratzner and out.
Hounds are closing them down pretty quick once they get into that final third, you know, the offensive third, making it difficult for Atlanta to really find anybody open. There's a chance down this left-hand side.
Carleton over to Ambrose, crossing, and Morton up to snatch it. And he gets a foul call as well.
That's a great, that's a confidence thing right there. Goalkeepers, you know, sometimes when it's that far out towards the penalty spot, a little bit hesitant and know they're going to get hit usually. You know, check back and then they get caught by it. But real strong there, confident play by Morton.
Morton from the Philadelphia area. Last year spent time with the Rochester Rhinos, the old club of Bob Lilly. For so long, Bob was up north. This is his 18th year as a pro coach. In fact, various leagues, indoor and outdoor even.
Yeah, it's been around a while, for sure.
But it's a good thing if you're a coach and you hang around, it means you're winning.
You're doing something right. Yeah, that's for sure.
And he has done plenty of winning, a USL Hall of Fame head coach in Bob Lilly. 2015 USL Cup champs were the Rochester Rhinos. Kerr putting some high pressure here as the Hounds try to force the issue. Francois was up in the kitchen of Jack Metcalf, but he laid it off to Cochran. Cochran dumped down. Play continues on. Here's a switch of play from Andrew Carleton. The 17-year-old Georgian gave it over to the far side. Now Atlanta has some momentum. Yeah. Ambrose, 1-on-2, and gets a bit of a break there as it's off a Hound's leg.
It's been pretty much that way down this left-hand side, getting 2 players to close these guys down when they have the ball and making it difficult for them to really go anywhere. And I'm sure, you know, Bob's going to have that going on all the game and kind of frustrate Atlanta.
The Riverhounds are 13-10-7 all time against MLS developmental teams. They entered the league for the first time in 2013, same year that this facility opened and the modern era, so to speak, for the Riverhounds began. In any era, this is the best 5-game start in Hounds history. A team that's been around since 1999. Good pressure from the backside by Mohamed Dabo, forced to turn over, and the Hounds can play with the ball at their feet again. Todd Pratzner, the former Rhino, right back in on Morton, slugs it away.
Yeah,
does the rookie keeper. Brett couldn't knot it down.
Nico Brett's gonna, not gonna win too many balls in the air with these guys at the back because he's not that big of a player, but anything that's on the ground, I'm sure he got the pace to go past them, Matt, where he can be really effective. Yeah.
That's his strength, his foot speed and niftiness with the ball. And he had some looks in the 18-yard box last week at Cincinnati. Couldn't convert, didn't have quite enough poise on the ball. That's what Bob Lilly was telling me earlier today. He wanted to see a little bit more patience when you get into those dangerous areas. Vunky Azio, a clean tackle, takes the ball away. Oh, but the Hounds give it right back. Dabo.
Yeah, Dabo there, he did hold his head, and I would too, because, you know, there was a great opportunity. If he'd have slipped that ball between the two defenders, that's where Nico Brett would have been using his speed and maybe got off a shot, but didn't get the right amount of weight on the ball.
Toby Adewale, who had the game winner against Ottawa 2 weeks ago right here, gave that ball up into touch. Atlanta gets control again. Atlanta ranks second in the USL in passing accuracy, so we'll see them with a lot of possession-building plays, you would imagine, here tonight.
Yeah, I've noticed that right away just in this first 10 minutes. They really had a lot more possession than the Hounds, and Hounds kind of chasing at the moment, looking for that opportunity of that miss kick or miss pass back where they can intercept and maybe do something with it. But
well, here's a takeaway by Vunky Azil. USL Team of the Week member Tomas Vunky Azil, who scored his first professional goal last week off the setup from Canardo Forbes. Made it 2-1 Hounds at Cincinnati in the second half. And if there's one thing, Paul, that the Hounds haven't done this year, it's been a spectacular start, of course, but they haven't scored a first half goal at home. They've played scoreless first halves in each of their first 3 matches.
So it's time.
Here on home soil. It is time, you would imagine, with a team that's got 7 in its past 3.
Yeah, they've done really well in the last 3 games for sure.
Christensen gave that one away, so a jittery moment for the Atlanta keeper and the Riverhounds. Well, they wanted a quick throw, but the ball ended up in those newly installed seats over there in front of the river.
Get kind of trapped over there.
The toss in, Kerr will deliver it to Dover, cuts back against the grain, Jordan Dover. To the far wing now. Forbes right on through to Ray Lee. He'll cross it back door. Oh, and Francois, I don't know how he missed it, but he did. He scratches his head. It looked like a tap in. He could have bodied that into the goal.
I would have scratched my head too, because I would have headed that ball. I wouldn't have even tried to volley. Holy smoke. That's an opportunity there. You're about 3 yards out. You've just got to, like you said, actually, even if he couldn't get his head down quick enough, you get your body in front of it, your chest, whatever it is, and try and force it into the net. But that was a great opportunity there.
He had some options, did Francois.
Yeah.
They call him the cheetah. He was right there on the post and could not convert. Francois, who scored a beauty of a goal against Toronto here 3 weeks ago. It's funny that you score on a screamer like that one, but not a sitter there.
Those ones that are 3 yards away are sometimes the hardest ones, because you're supposed to score them, you know.
Of course, the expectation is there, and you're feeling it when that cross is coming your way. Dover, fine job to keep it in play, and tripped up play continues on. The ruling is that the defender, Kendall Moulin, got all ball, or got the ball first, at least, on his challenge. And now Atlanta back with it. Carleton's going to swing it toward the arc, and headed clear by Ray Lee. So a fine clearance by the Hounds outside back. Again, the Hounds, at least on paper, have 5 backs deployed to start, with Vunky Azil playing center. Pratzner slid in.
Referee not calling anything there. I thought there was a foul down here against Atlanta, and then I thought there was a foul up here against the Hounds, and just let it play.
There's only been 1 foul called at all, in fact, in the opening 13 minutes. That against Pittsburgh. So you have to adjust to the officiating, and these 2 teams will be tasked with that. Kevin Broadley, as I mentioned, the man in charge, wearing the red.
I don't think you realize sometimes when you're playing, I mean, when you're a player, Matt, you do have to do that. You check
and there
out,
is a trip, by the way.
You figure out, you know, the referee, is he calling everything? Is he not calling things? How hard can you go in? How, you know, aggressive? And that really, you know, then you feel that out for the first 10, 15 minutes of the game, and then you have an idea of how far you can go.
It's the same in any sport, I believe, that has that sort of a situation where 2 teams are playing one another. Out into touch in favor of Atlanta. The 2 assistants, Ross Kleinstuber and Alfonso Fajardo. They work the lines, or Fajardo, pardon me. We've seen Ross in here for many a match over the years in the USL era for the Hounds, which began in 2011. Lee gets his foot around it and cracks it up into the Atlanta side of the pitch. Here's Carleton playing a lot with the ball at his feet, and he came billed as a distributor. And talking to some who've watched this team play, Atlanta United 2, they want Carleton to get plenty of the ball. Just 17 years old. Played last year in the MLS, in fact, made 3 appearances at that level. So a talented youngster.
Yeah.
Atlanta United 1, if you will, is in MLS, one of many expansion teams lately. Kerr just dragged down to the artificial surface here. That doesn't feel good.
Wrestling move, that one.
A little Greco-Roman just outside the midfield stripe. Reminds us of the, well, the physical, controversial match that we saw between the Hounds and Ottawa 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, which kind of got everybody fired up a little bit, and people were really going after the ball.
We saw an assistant coach booted from the match for Ottawa, too. You don't see that every day or every week. Kerr on the battle, but he's not going to be able to get there in time to keep the ball alive. Kevin Kerr, well, 2 weeks ago was a sub. And Paul, you and I remarked on how rare that was to see. He did not get the start there. Started last week at Cincy, pulled about 60 minutes in as Bob Lilly made some tactical changes. So it's been more of a part-time situation for Kerr this year. Foul there against Atlanta gives the Hounds a restart.
I think it was a good move, though, Matt, too. I think Bob was kind of like putting him on the bench, because he's not a player that likes to be on the bench at all. Wants to be in and buzz in. There's a good through ball right there.
Carleton. And on to Robinson, but offside. The flag is up on the far wing. That's a break for Pittsburgh, because that was a promising counterattack for the visitors.
Yeah, he seems too wide open when he got the ball, and until he touched it, the linesman didn't put his flag up, so we didn't realize until then.
Pardon, it was Devon Sandoval, not Miles Robinson, who pulled that one in. The dreadlocks obscured the number, so here come the Hounds. Kerr, Lee right in, and Christensen absorbs it. Francois gives the thumbs up to Lee. Maybe he was just a step slow in reading what the outside back Ray Lee was trying to do there.
Yeah, I think Ray's got to kind of cut that ball back a little bit more. You can't get it in that 6-yard box, because look, these goalkeepers are all 6 foot something, and they can stretch pretty well, and they're going to grab anything that comes across in there. If you can just get it between that box and the penalty spot, then it causes problems for them, because they hesitate whether to come or not.
Pratzner holding on to things. There's Vunke Yazil, the rookie pro who played center back at the University of Charleston in his 4 years there. Last year, the Division II NCAA Player of the Year. He's been an attacking midfielder. He's been a center back, so that's about as versatile as we've seen a Riverhound in recent years. Mike Green would bounce up and back and forth, but maybe not as centrally as Vunke Yazil. Here's a closer look at what you were talking about, Paul, on the cross. Just too close to the keeper.
Yeah, really, on that 6-yard box, you got to try and really get that ball to come back. But there again, the players have got to make that run and get in those positions too to get on the end of it.
Lee, who's been active now in the past 5 minutes or so. Mohamed Dabo with that high motor. Dabo dished it off. Adewale, the Maryland native, 22 years old, right back in to his keeper, who settles things down. 18th minute. The Hounds have had the better of the chances, because they've had just the one really legitimate chance, and that was Francois missing on the Lee cross.
That's a great
And now
ball.
Francois is going to take this one from Forbes.
Now this is where it should be a cutback ball if you
Pulls
can
it
see
up.
it.
Step over move. Francois toward the middle and off the toe of one of the United defenders. That was A.J. Cochran.
Yeah, number 3, yeah.
Corner kick Pittsburgh, their first of the match.
Yeah, Francois is dangerous when he gets down into this corner. I mean, he's always pinging these balls, and there's a quick one.
Quick corner, yeah, thank you for that, Paul. And Forbes misses on the first-time drive, well over the top of the crossbar.
Yeah, that came in really quick. I just noticed it go flying
they
across.
caught me with my head down, so I know that much.
Because usually they have a set play and wait for the players to get up from the back, and that one was, he must have seen somebody open and tried to get it in there real quick.
Suppose so. So the first set piece opportunity goes by. The Riverhounds have generally not been creating that many chances off the corner kicks that they have won in the early stages of the season. So I talked about first half goals at home. I think also set pieces would be an area where they might be a little more efficient in the future. And we are nitpicking here, of course, with a team that has not lost a match yet in 5.
Yeah, we've got to remember that too. So
we do, yes. It has been quite the start for the Riverhounds. At any rate, Mikey Ambrose. Now Pratzner of Pittsburgh heads it in the direction of the Atlanta bench. The Atlanta United 2 outfit coached by Scott Donnelly, former assistant of the U.S. under-18 team. Spent 10 years coaching in the college ranks too. Rob Valentino is his assistant. Bob Lilly on the Pittsburgh sideline, assisted by Mark Pulisic and Dan Visser. Visser, a holdover from the previous regime. Dave Brandt was the coach the past 2 years. There's an opportunity for Sandoval to try to win a ball. At least he won a throw in. Just inside the midfield line. Ambrose. The quick toss to the back. Kendall Moulin. And Jack Metcalf, who wears the captain's armband, distributes over to the far wing side.
Looking for a switch again, and they're going to switch it again.
And they do successfully, just working it around the perimeter here.
That's a nice
Atlanta
ball.
United 2. Popped up ahead. Sandoval unable to catch up to it as Morton off his line. And expertly so.
Yeah, he's really sharp there. He's watching continuously, you know, no laps, and realizing he's pretty quick off the line.
Kyle Morton is yet to be scored upon in his pro career. Of course, that career is just 90 minutes long. Only had to make one save against Toronto 3 weeks ago. Dover has some space. Jordan Dover. Coming off of a goal last week. On to Francois. He's working 1-on-2. What can he figure out? He does get it through. Might have been deflected, I thought, at least. But no, it'll be a goal kick.
Yeah, I don't think he didn't get what he really wanted to do there. But nobody was really expecting the cross either. Too many bodies around him, and just tried to get his toe around the ball and bring it back, but never happened.
What we're seeing so far matches up with what the stats say about Atlanta United 2. A lot of possession, but they actually rank 26 out of 30 teams in total shots. So they haven't generated much at the attacking end despite having the ball a lot in their matches.
Yeah.
So they've been really efficient when you look at it with the 7 goals they've put in just the 56 shots. One of the more efficient teams in the league, top 5 even.
Yep.
Francois pulls this one down to his foot. Dover right back to Francois. On the overlap run, Cristiano Francois stops up. He's seen plenty of the ball lately. Pratzner gives him an outlet.
Oh.
Pratzner missed Kenardo Forbes, the Jamaican midfielder, but a couple of guys missed. And now an opportunity for Pittsburgh. Francois pulls it back, slides it through. Nobody home over there at the edge of the 6.
Boy, that's that was a nifty move by Francois
Really
there.
was.
He like took it in and then just realized, hey, I can get this ball between 2 players, and that's where you need these forwards to really start sharpening up and just following them in. You know, when they see him with the ball, just making these runs, which they were doing at practice yesterday, and 3 players going near post, middle of the park, and the back post, and getting on the end of those kind of things. So some of the practice sessions working off here where they're getting crosses in.
The Riverhounds again working with another different formation. I feel like it's been a different one every week here in match number 6. A couple of forwards listed on the card here with Francois and Nico Brett, who had the hat trick 3 weeks ago against Toronto. His first goals for Pittsburgh in his first season in Pittsburgh. For Brett, Brett is number 9 at the top of the formation right now, trying to close down the middle of the field. Here's a long ball into the Hounds' end, though. Vanki Azil bodies up against Sandoval. It pops loose, and Vanki Azil is there.
He's
and it caroms over to Dover.
Dover's
Takes a look, wants to hook up with Brett, I think, but about 10 yards in front of him.
Yeah, he had a vision and didn't quite come off.
But the quick push upfield, the mentality was right if the execution wasn't. Kevin Kerr will now slow things down, and Kerr,
That's a good switch right there.
Stalwart Hound. The Riverhounds do swing it over to Dover. Off the dish from Forbes, and Forbes gets it right back. Forbes, who assisted on Vanki Azil's goal last week, has a go and missed to the left. Ambitious try from, what would that be, about 25 yards out at least.
I wanted you to say it, not me, but yeah, it was a good distance away, and he really didn't really get his body in the right position. He didn't look comfortable at all when he was striking it. So maybe that one would need that one more touch, get it set up.
This Atlanta United side starting a stretch of 3 straight on the road after losing to Charleston 3-0 on Tuesday. The Riverhounds anticipating the start of the U.S. Open Cup and a heavier schedule, scrimmaged against West Virginia University here on Tuesday, so they saw plenty of opportunity for some of the reserves to get in and play.
Yeah.
We're getting to that time when the midweek games are popping up on the schedule. This one well too far for any of the Atlanta players to track down, so Vunky Azil will for Pittsburgh. Right back in on Morton. Off the side of his foot, but it stays in play.
Yeah.
Headed forward by Lee, but away from Kerr.
That one had snow on it, I think. It went so high.
Oh, it's cold enough today. We spoke too soon on the arrival of spring
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh, as it turned out. 2 weeks ago was nice. We're looking for more in a couple more weeks when the Hounds return home. Anyway, here's Kerr from the corner. Kerr, the right footer. Dover collects under some pressure from Carleton. Dover off his own foot. Looked like it was.
Yeah, I think
maybe the Hounds got a call there. From our angle, it looked like it was off of Dover's heel. We'll see if Pittsburgh can make this into anything.
Oh.
Francois takes it away, lays it back. Brett holds, scores!
Yes, what a great pullback.
Nico Brett fires it in, and he is master of his domain. Francois with the pressure and the steal, and Brett with the finish in the 26th minute.
Did really well there with that fake first shot and got everybody going one direction and then pulled it back onto his left foot. And I'm sure we're going to see it again, but great job by Francois there. Worked really hard and won that ball back and cut it back.
And that call on the touchline does come into play. It was questionable, but the takeaway by Francois, and you're right, Paul, talk about poise in the scoring area.
Yep.
Easy to just let that one go quickly if you're Brett, but that's a guy who scored tons of goals in college for Robert Morris here in suburban Pittsburgh. And so he took a touch, took a look, and realized he had all the net to look at.
Yeah, I mean, he really did. Without that little fake, I think they would have blocked that ball. The keeper was in the right place. The number 12 was in the right place. And they bid on the fake and just opened up that net for him. And that's where he's deadly inside that 6-yard box for sure.
And a deadly turnover by Andrew Kendall Moulin in the box for Atlanta, the 23-year-old. We'll have that one to look at on tape this week, unfortunately for him. But fortunately for the Hounds, they have their first half goal at home this season. So there you go, check that off the list.
Yeah, we said we wanted that to happen, and it did.
It's amazing how sometimes it works like that. Brett's going to try to catch up, and he can't take it away from Miles Robinson, who closed quickly. In the midfield, no foul call against Pittsburgh. We'll hand it over to Atlanta. So the Riverhounds, who nursed a lead for over 50 minutes last week at Cincy, couldn't hang on to it. They'll get a second crack at it right here. And they still never trailed on this season, have the Riverhounds as well. In addition to being unbeaten, they don't know what it's like to be looking up at a score. Dover, the takeaway. Jordan Dover's had a strong opening half. Cleared into the stands by Atlanta. And Mikey Ambrose, who took care of it.
Yeah, the Hounds got to be a little bit careful for the next minute or two, because usually, you know, we always say once you get a goal, that's the most vulnerable. The next 2 minutes or 3 minutes of the when the opposing team kick off. So they're kind of settling it down, which is really good for them.
This is Nico Brett, who touches it over to Dover. Brett, the goal scorer, his 4th of the season in his 4th start up top. By the way, Romeo Parks, who we all presume to be the Hounds' chief goal getter coming into this season, he is healthy but on the bench today. Francois slugs across over to Kerr, who collects.
Nice switch of play
Gives to
there.
Forbes, and now Ray Lee. Hounds looking poised with the ball here. And now, of course, brimming with some confidence, up a goal. Kerr will switch it again. And Pratzner takes advantage of an open area. Riverhounds want their backs to get up, and they are in the play. Pratzner, Dover, now Francois. They're pinging it around, aren't they, right now? Francois gave it up in the middle.
That was unfortunate there. I don't know. He didn't quite catch.
Another giveaway. Kerr's going to line one up and right on to the goalkeeper, Christensen. Now he wants his team to calm down, and for good reason. They are coughing the ball up in their own third.
Yeah, it seems to work. Seemed to work the reverse that I said. The Hounds have really built. You know, it's like we got that one. We got to go straight away and get in there again and get another one. And Atlanta kind of like shaky at the moment.
Especially on that back line, and not to pick on him, but Kendall Moulin has been shaky with the ball at his feet in the last few moments.
Yeah.
And the Riverhounds, I think, smell some blood in the water at the moment. Trying to calm it down here is Cochran for Atlanta. Has some room. The left foot, but it's won by Vunky Azil in the air. This isn't a very tall Atlanta team as well. It's part of the scouting report on them. They're quick, but young and a little on the shorter side. So aerial balls, I think at the Hounds back line, Pittsburgh would prefer to have the ball in the air.
Have the advantage, definitely.
They're still missing Joe Greenspan, are the Riverhounds, who is out for another week.
Yeah.
He was tremendous in clearances in the opening couple. Morton, he nearly had that kick deflected. He may have, in fact.
I think he did. That player got a toe on that, and
Metcalf slides it through. It's dished from Sandoval out wide. All the way over there is John Gallagher, the Irishman. Lost control. He was stripped of it. I believe that was Canardo Forbes helping out to take it away. John Gallagher, the Irishman who went to Notre Dame. So he really was a fighting Irish when he was there. 39 goals in 84 appearances.
Oh, really?
At South Bend, yeah. So look out for him. He hasn't had many touches, though, all the way over there on the right flank.
Yeah, they're having a hard time getting it to him. They seem to be using this left side more than the right, and I don't know. He's just not getting open, I don't think, right now. So.
And he has 3 goals on the season.
There he got a touch layoff.
And it's right through to him as if on cue. Gallagher is going to try to break ahead of the pack. Slows it up, crosses. No one home at the moment. It's going to be picked up by Ambrose, though, just inside the corner flag.
Yes.
Carleton pulling it back.
Carleton trying to make a 1-2 move.
Wanting to slide through. Dabo will just concede the corner.
Yeah, didn't want to take any chances there because you had 2 players coming in around him, and you don't want the same thing to happen to you that happened to Atlanta.
Corner kick number 1 for Atlanta. And it's Carleton, the native Georgian, with the orange boots. Right hand in the air. He's going to drive a high one toward the edge of the 6 and off the noggin.
That wasn't
well, apparently it's rolled to be off the Riverhounds, and so it'll be a corner on the far side. Tough for us to tell from this angle and from this distance.
I thought there was a push in the back there, but I think the Atlanta player is saying that the Riverhound player grabbed his shirt, and the Riverhound player is saying he pushed him in the back when he was trying to go for the ball. So,
all right then, Mikey Ambrose will handle it with the left foot from all the way over by the Monongahela River. Ambrose tries again. Here's the header. Morton's going to have it.
Yeah,
it was headed by Cochran.
Yeah, Cochran's probably the tallest player on the field, I think, and he did get a head on it, but hit the shoulder of the defender and didn't come off.
A.J. Cochran, 6'3", St. Louis native, that soccer hotbed of St. Louis, Missouri. In fact, he played the last 2 years in this league for St. Louis. Was a draft pick of the Houston Dynamo, and he's appeared 26 times in our country's top league in the MLS.
Player, is he changing his boot or
a retie? Hard to tell. We have an equipment malfunction.
No, it was his shin pad that was next to him.
That makes a little more sense, and it appears that Forbes will play with the shin guard back in place. He was reaffixing his glove. Yeah. Yes, it is that cold in Pittsburgh. It's low 40s, windy. Right back in on the keeper, Morton, and the green-shirted man drives it up the center of the pitch.
Cochran did well, timed that perfectly, because that skipped over his head, and Nico Brett was on goal.
Carleton couldn't navigate between 2 Riverhounds, but The throw-in goes to Atlanta. First ever matchup between these two clubs. This is the first ever season for Atlanta United 2. They also call it ATL UTD 2. If you're from the area, Atlanta has really taken to its MLS side, and now a developmental club on top of that. Christensen's backpedaling, and no trouble there. Paul Christensen, in his second appearance of the season, allowed 2 goals on 3 shots on frame. It's a 2-2 tie that he played in against Charlotte 3 weeks ago. Throw in for Atlanta here, deep in its own defending third. The Hounds pressuring high. Look at all those yellow shirts, and it's picked off by Dabo. Can they convert it into offense? Forbes to Brett, right back to Forbes. Holds up, oh, he tripped over the ball. Oh man, he had an opportunity to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
He wanted to cut it back, it appeared.
He was trying those kind of fake moves, trying to get people to move out the way, but it didn't work out. He got over the top of the ball and got caught up between his feet, so that was a great opportunity again.
Vonkie Azil tries deep. It's headed right back to Cristiano Francois. Can he load it up? No, he won't be able to get by that last defender, but given away again, and it's back on the foot of Francois. Oh! And he just missed with that knuckling drive. No spin on that. He caught it flush, just wide of the post.
That was the position he was in last time he scored and against Toronto. Boy, that was...
Mikey Ambrose gave it up.
That was got a curve coming towards the post too. He just about a foot wide of the post. Yeah.
Just a touch of spin on it. You're right. I think his intent was to catch it with the outside of the boot and slice it back.
Get it to bend back in, yeah, but didn't quite get it where it needed to, but great effort.
Francois is on fire in this first half.
Yeah, he's got this fullback biting every chance, you know, at the moment. And
Forbes with the volley. Over to Lee, to no one in particular, and it's picked up with some time by Miles Robinson, the 21-year-old from Massachusetts, on a first-team contract, in fact. Several of these players have contracts with the MLS club, so they can go back and forth as the management pleases. Looked like a foul there, and it was a foul there. Forbes has his arms in the air, but I think it was the proper call with Metcalf sliding down. 37th minute, Riverhounds up 1-0 on a Nico Brett goal, assisted by Francois. Brett taking advantage of his playing time with Romeo Parks, formerly on the shelf, now on the bench. We might see Parks as a late sub this week. He's missed the last 3 with a knee injury.
I'm sure Bob's looking to try and get as many as he can in. You know, it's not going to be just Parks. I think he wants to have a variety of players, Matt, so he can...
That's the idea. Morton out of his box to drive it away, and accurately right to Kevin Kerr. Kerr, the Scotsman, now Ray Lee.
Oh, that's a great ball.
Lee tries deep. Brett collects. Francois again.
Oh, what a setup here.
Dover's wide open. Dover's shot. Christensen made the knee save. Corner kick, Pittsburgh.
Shame. I think Dover should have taken a first-time shot there, Matt, to be honest with you, because I think the keeper got himself in a better position after that one touch. That one touch, they get that extra chance to reread it, and got his body in the way, as you can see.
Took the one touch, you're right, and then at that point, Christensen could pretty much sell out for the near post, couldn't he? Because there wasn't much of an angle elsewhere.
And Dover had nowhere else to go too, you know. I think if it had took the first-time shot, he'd have had more of an opening.
Kevin Kerr will handle the corner kick, and the Hounds get one here. It's loose in the 6-yard box. Pratzner was the one who got on the end of it, but couldn't make much of it.
Yeah, you would have thought it would have been his head that it would have got on the end of it, but it was a really driven ball, hard and low.
Right to Pratzner's foot. And Todd Pratzner, well, if he were to have scored there, it would have fit the theme recently. The Riverhounds in their past 2 matches have had a defender chip in with a goal. Adewale, the center back from 2 weeks ago, had the winner against Ottawa. And we already mentioned Dover getting into the act at Cincinnati. Throw in for Atlanta here. Early shots on goal battle won by the Hounds, or they are winning the shots battle 4-1. Not on frame, pardon me, just 4 generally. Seems a little low. Maybe the stat keeping will catch up by the time we get to the halftime break. 39th minute. I am Matt Geico along with Paul Child. It's our pleasure to bring you USL Soccer at Highmark Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Ambrose with the ball.
Pretty cold night, and there's decent crowd turned up.
And of course the Steel Army's looking good too. Down there, Christensen nearly gave it up. Brett is working his butt off to get to these spots, and it is forcing some mistakes. And it's not just Brett either. Francois couldn't get there. It's a throw-in for Atlanta.
Yeah, they've got to be tenacious when it comes to that. Like, keep on frustrating the keeper, anybody they can, to make them cough that ball up.
They're forcing Atlanta to complete some passes here with plenty of danger around.
But really going nowhere.
Not at the moment. Ambrose closed on and nearly gave it away.
Yeah.
Ambrose on the ball. Possession is 60-40 Atlanta, and they have made plenty of passes, like we talked about, some higher percentage stuff, but not a lot going forward. And here's another one that's intercepted.
And I think they got those, Matt, in the first like 20 minutes of the game, or 25 minutes. They got a lot of passes in, but really in the middle of the field and not penetrating anywhere.
Carleton. Slicing inside is Carleton. Fancy little move and a good switch of play. All the way over there, it's Jack Metcalf. Metcalf right through. Vunky Azil read it. Belted it out of the Riverhounds defending third. And Cochran with a chance now.
That's a long ball down the field again.
Tries the deep one, and guess who? Vunky Azil is there once more.
I think he kicked that out of the stadium.
Pretty close. Quick throw, though.
Yeah.
Carleton has a decent look at it. Chips it back against the grain, but it's right in on Morton, who has it at his feet.
Looking for the player to make a diagonal run, and they never made the run. And that was a nice ball, actually, but somebody's got to get in the end of it.
Which teams are hitting peak performance in the USL? Find out every Monday afternoon when the USLsoccer.com power rankings are released. To see where your team sits after its most recent results, the Hounds are looking pretty good. Atlanta hanging in its first season. Giveaway over there by Metcalf, right to Kevin Kerr. Kerr gives to Forbes. Now Brett, a combination try. Still free there. Turning is Forbes, and it was blocked.
Still bubbling around in that box. They can't.
It really is. The ball appears to be greased in the Atlanta end at times.
Looks like a hot potato in there.
Can a hot potato be greased? I guess it could be. We could do both.
Imagine when you got it in your hand, you just kind of throw it up in the air, and that's what kind of going on with the feet with these guys in the box.
No one really taking charge down there at the moment. There's a strong tackle from Toby Adewale of Pittsburgh to keep the ball bottled into the Atlanta end. And Adewale will rear back and head it forward, get some help from Dabo too. Stays in the air in the 43rd minute now. Riverhounds up by a goal. Trying to catch up. Gallagher of Atlanta couldn't get there in time, and Adewale just got rid of it in a hurry.
Adewale did well there. Just a simple play it out of trouble, and let everybody get back and get in a defensive position now and make it much more tougher for Atlanta to break them down.
Halftime approaching. The throw-in is to Sandoval, and now Gallagher cutting and turning and sliding that pass through somehow. It's a cross, in fact, all the way over to our side of the surface. Kendall Moulin, Carleton, read perfectly by Dover, who guides it up the near touch line out to Atlanta. Andrew Kendall Moulin with the throw-in, and Carleton reads the situation under some duress, got rid of it. Over on right flank now.
Yeah, that's where the defenders have got to get used to this player, Carleton, because you know he's not going to knock the ball off to anybody. He's going to do all these moves and keep possession of it. That's when you've got to realize that when you're getting better as a defender, that's what you realize, and you realize, hey, I'm going to send him back to where he came from, and that's what they're kind of doing to him now.
Tendencies being sussed out as we approach the end of the opening half. Still some time here, though, for Atlanta to counter if they can. And they will try here. Ambrose, a swarming Hounds defense, though, at the moment. Kendall Moulin up into that wind, and it was gobbled right there by Kyle Morton. I wouldn't say the wind is freshening, but it has been a constant presence here today, and it's in the favor of the Riverhounds currently.
Yeah. Kevin Kerr's gone on I think every high ball that's been over there to him. He's like 3 or 4. He's not the tallest guy in the club, but he keeps getting these flick-ons, and here we go again.
And here he has it once more, yes. Kerr will take it. The pass was a little behind him, but he gets some help now from Forbes joining the party. Canardo Forbes pulling back.
Nice.
What can he do with it? Lee becomes available. His cross goes over the top of Kerr, but it's flagged down here on the near wing. It's Nico Brett. Or pardon me, Dover, I should say. Dover to Pratzner.
And Dover
joins in, right back to Dover. Oh. One cut back, a second, and he couldn't get around that second defender.
Yeah, that would have been a tough one to get a hold of, even if you'd have.
Ambrose was there to cover up for his teammate. Carleton, who got beat on the first move from Dover, but that's what teammates are for. 1 minute of stoppage time will be added.
Yeah, there really hasn't been any stoppage at all, really, and Hound's going to probably just wind this down if they can.
Funky Azil, a little bit of confusion there with Adewale. Yeah. I got it, you take it, and Adewale eventually did take it and got rid of it.
Yeah, you need somebody to make the mind up quick there, and don't get caught standing looking at it and somebody jumping in between and taking it away from you. So
Cochran will have a chance to force the ball up, and Funky Azil basically climbed the back of Devin Sandoval. That's not allowed. Foul against Pittsburgh. But you'll take that foul out in your midfield at this point, just trying to slow things down and ensure that Atlanta doesn't get one. Atlanta United 2. Laboring to at least generate one chance. They may not get the opportunity here with the ball bounding right back in toward their keeper, Christensen, who handles.
Yeah, I think the referee's going to call it once he's kicked it. Oh, he's already called it.
Yes, he has. There's the halftime whistle from the referee, Kevin Broadley, just as a train passes between us and the Monongahela River. Good timing for those of you watching on ESPN+. Matt Geica with Paul Child bringing you the action. The Riverhounds have the only goal of the opening half in this Saturday night matchup on the south side. It's 1-0. Pittsburgh Riverhounds SC over Atlanta United 2. We'll go to a break. Plenty more to come, so don't go away on ESPN+.
Now, where does it hurt the most when you have it all the way straight?
Down
in there.
It started really hurting, and it would really hurt if I like stood on it.
It's a little patellar tendonitis or jumper's knee is the other thing.
How's that feel?
It feels better.
Call 412 Doctors for a same-day appointment at Allegheny Health Network.
Cheer on your Hounds at Highmark Stadium. Tickets start at just $13, making a Hounds match the most affordable pro sporting event in town. Get your tickets today at riverhounds.com and unleash with the Hounds.
A lot of clients ask us what makes us different. The first thing that comes to mind for me is Joyce's signature collection. We truly are jewelers. We're passionate about jewelry. We understand the process of making jewelry and what it takes to make the highest quality product at the best value. We travel the world to bring back and create the most unique diamond jewelry collection that you will find anywhere. If you've never shopped Joyce's, I personally invite you to visit our store. I know you're gonna love it.
At Joyce's Jewelry.
Through the years, you've done right by investing in your home. And now, you can use that equity to borrow money for the things you need. With a low 1.99% APR and no fees, you can apply for a home equity loan online and use the money to upgrade to that minivan, make home improvements, or finance college. At Clearview, we can help you find ways to use the equity in your home for more important things. Let us help. Visit us online for more information. Clearview Federal Credit Union, the next generation of personal banking.
Cheer on your Hounds at Highmark Stadium. Tickets start at just $13, making a Hounds match the most affordable pro sporting event in town. Get your tickets today at riverhounds.com and unleash with the Hounds.
We are Riverside once again in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on ESPN Plus, and we are me, Matt Geica, and him, Paul Child. We are relatively warm under some cover here, but it is a brisk spring evening in Western Pennsylvania. The Riverhounds up 1-0 on Atlanta United 2, and Nico Brett getting the only goal. Let's take a look at some players who have not yet left the pitch, Paul Child. All three of these gentlemen, Toby Adewale, Ray Lee, and Thomas Vunke Azil, have played all 450 minutes coming into tonight, so you can add 30 more onto that, make it 480. How difficult is that to go 90 every time out?
Well, you can see what these guys are. They're all defenders too. And, you know, defenders get that little bit of break compared to midfielders and offensive players, so they can get that breather in between. But these guys have done a really good and strong job. And, you know, we're very lucky to have three guys that are really powerful. I mean, they win everything in the air. They're really clear with each other. They usually communicate really well. And look really strong all the time.
And I failed in my math course, obviously. 45 minutes added to that, so it's nearly 500. 495 minutes on the year for each of those three. And with apologies to Adewale and Lee, Vunke Azil has stood out all year, has he not? The one of the members of the USL Team of the Week, and here's an assist that he contributed a few weeks ago against Toronto FC2. Former Division II Player of the Year with the University of Charleston, West Virginia. Paul, a native of France. I didn't know what to make of him coming into the season, but he's played back. He's played, as you see here, up front at Cincinnati. He's done it all for Pittsburgh.
No, he's done very well. Being, you know, just coming into a professional league like this, and just picking it up where he left off from college, you know, and competing with the top players. And obviously, a lot of potential in this guy, and he's going to do better as the season goes on. And he's young and he's strong. Hopefully with no injuries. He's going to be a big part of the Riverhounds season.
If the University of Charleston sounds familiar, that's also where former Hound star Rob Vincent played his college ball. So maybe a pipeline forming there down into the Mountain State. And Vunke Azil leading the team with 11 interceptions. Those are the stats, as you said, though. It's tough to really sum up in numbers or even words exactly what he's meant to this team. And he has the trust of Bob Lilly, does he not? If he's going to play center back, if he's going to play in the midfield, these are very important positions right up the gut. You know what I mean? So he's going to be getting a lot of touches and having a huge influence on every match.
Well, I think Bob's got a lot of confidence in him, and I think he talks to him a lot, and he realizes that. And Thomas, he's just coming along strong.
Maybe he'll become a household name here in Pittsburgh. It's a hard name to say. I'll admit that much when I looked at it the first few times.
Not easy to forget.
Can be a challenge. It isn't. Right. And most of the guys on the team, by the way, call him Thomas just for short. So we can say Thomas, we can say Vunke Azil, we can say whatever. He's been great so far for the Hounds. Well, we want to take a look around the league. When we come back from this break, 1-0 Pittsburgh over Atlanta United 2 here at Highmark Stadium on the south side. Keep it on ESPN Plus.
Welcome to the Breakdown once again. Thank you to everyone on social media that's given me positive comments, and I really appreciate the support. Here's episode 5, week 6 of the Breakdown.
Into the penalty area, some good give and go here. There's a shot, and they've opened the scoring.
This team goal by North Carolina is fantastic. If you notice that there's always players on the move, they're always giving the attacking player who's got the ball an option to move. For Rios there, he has 2 or 3 options at the time when he received the ball, and he just found himself in extremely good space. But again, it's just the constant movement of the team, and it makes it very difficult for the defenders to track runners. Once again, it's a fantastic first-time finish, especially on turf, into the top corner.
Oh, bad back pass. Arboleda picks it up, takes the shot, and puts it in the back of the net.
Arboleta's goal starts with his positioning. If you notice, he gives himself an opportunity to close down the centre-back, and he reads the pass extremely well and uses his pace to get there. And then obviously, once he's used his pace, he has to slow himself down. And you see from the finish that there's nothing the keeper could do about that. The celebration is not so much in for Player of the Week, but the finish definitely is.
For Escalante. Goes well to pick this up. Goes through the legs of Navarro, sends the service, had it.
Escalante's skill here has 2 or 3 different stages. The first stage is when he receives the ball, and it's not the greatest ball to him, but he makes the most out of it. And when he turns, the defender, he's expecting the defender to tackle him. When the defender doesn't make a move, then that's his opportunity to create the skill. And the composure as well. Once he's made the skill, not to get carried away, but to have the composure to cross it. And it's a fantastic cross, and I think he's expecting more from his striker there.
Iwasa, Bijev cuts, plays it across, oh, it's in!
When Hall receives the ball here, it's not the easiest ball to deal with. He uses it to his advantage, and it draws 2 defenders out. And once he's drew the 2 defenders out, it then creates more space for Bijev. And when he receives the ball, I think the defender's expecting him to go on his right foot, but he does a fantastic skill. And at a tight angle there, it's a fantastic finish. The composure to relax himself, but to slot it through the keeper is fantastic. And it makes it very difficult for the keeper to get down low when he shoots it at his legs. I hope you've all enjoyed episode 5, week 6 of the Breakdown. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Well, we've reached the end of April, at least in terms of the league schedule after tonight. Matt Geica with Paul Child. We're here right by the pitch at Highmark Stadium in Pittsburgh, PA. The Riverhounds are one of a couple of unbeaten teams still in the Eastern Conference in the 30-team USL. Louisville City, well, we knew they were going to be tough. They've been really difficult to beat ever since they came into the league 3 years ago. 4-0-1, top of the standings. But there is Pittsburgh at 2-0-3. 2 other teams, by the way, out west. Las Vegas, new to the league this year, and Sacramento are unbeaten as well. But you get this far into it, Paul, without a loss, and, well, you start to maybe feel like you're invincible, I think.
Well, you get some real good confidence, you know, and you especially when you're doing so well at home and you go on the road, you feel comfortable going away, and it's kind of a break for you, to be honest with you, when you go away and play in a big stadium, especially like Cincinnati, and it seems to prove that the players are kind of turning it up. So it's a real good start for the team.
And if you had to pick a team that needed it, it might have been the Riverhounds, in fact, with their sitting out the playoffs the last 2 years. Let's look at that USL Team of the Week, and Thomas Vanki-Azil, who we've talked about frequently, is right there in the middle with his first pro goal. Player of the Week, Musovski, pardon me, with Reno, 1868 FC. There you see Baquero of Tulsa and Belmar of Swope Park up top. Biev and Cole of Tampa Bay Rowdies. Reynolds, Tribbett, Ken Tribbett, we know his name very well. He's been in the USL for a while with Harrisburg, and, well, of course, now called Penn FC. And Restrepo, your keeper of the week, Hunter, on the backside too. We'll take a break, bring it back for highlights of the first half. There were plenty, especially at the Pittsburgh attacking end of things. Back in a moment, as promised, on ESPN+.
Now, where does it hurt the most when you have it all the way straight?
Down
in there.
It started really hurting, and it was really hard if I stood on it.
It's a little patellar tendonitis, or jumper's knee is the other thing.
How's that feel?
It feels better.
Call 412 Doctors for a same-day appointment at Allegheny Health Network.
Cheer on your Hounds at Highmark Stadium. Tickets start at just $13, making a Hounds match the most affordable pro sporting event in town. Get your tickets today at riverhounds.com and unleash with the Hounds.
A lot of clients ask us what makes us different. The first thing that comes to mind for me is Joyce's signature collection. We truly are jewelers. We're passionate about jewelry. We understand the process of making jewelry and what it takes to make the highest quality product at the best value. We travel the world to bring back and create the most unique diamond jewelry collection that you will find anywhere. If you've never shopped Joyce's, I personally invite you to visit our store. I know you're gonna love it.
At Joyce's Jewelry.
Through the years, you've done right by investing in your home. And now, you can use that equity to borrow money for the things you need. With a low 1.99% APR and no fees, you can apply for a home equity loan online and use the money to upgrade to that minivan, make home improvements, or finance college. At Clearview, we can help you find ways to use the equity in your home for more important things. Let us help. Visit us online for more information. Clearview Federal Credit Union, the next generation of personal banking.
Cheer on your Hounds at Highmark Stadium. Tickets start at just $13, making a Hounds match the most affordable pro sporting event in town. Get your tickets today at riverhounds.com and unleash with the Hounds.
Getting it revved up for the second half from Pittsburgh. Riverhounds leading at home 1-0 with their first half goal of the season here on their home pitch. Let's go to those highlights, shall we? From the opening 45 minutes. Much of the first half spent in the Atlanta defending third as the Hounds keep the pressure on. Here's Francois giving out wide to Dover. That's an early cross, nearly connecting there. Brett on the edge of the 6 in a bit of foreshadowing. They tried the other side this time, Paul, and it should have been a goal for Francois.
Yeah, boy. He's going to see that over and over again in his dreams, I think. I would. But you can see.
There's the reaction, hands on head.
Even Kevin Kerr put his hands on his head.
But Francois will, as you'll see eventually, have a chance to celebrate. There's Forbes missing on a shot attempt. And after a questionable call on the touchline, I wasn't sure if it should have been a Hounds throw. As it turned out, it was. Francois with the takeaway, and Brett, the expert finish from point blank.
Inside that box, yeah. He's great fake there and just got everybody to bite and give him a great opening and just slots it away.
Left-footed Kerr had a great opportunity here, but put it right at the center of goal. And Atlanta figured out a way to generate 2 or 3 corners there late, but the header went right in on Kyle Morton. A.J. Cochran was the one who generated that. And here's Francois again. So, yeah, he could have possibly had a huge first half.
Yeah.
Barely missing on that volley try. And here he is once more, but he elected to pass, and Dover denied.
And that's where Dover, we talked about, should have hit that ball probably first time and he really got himself a little bit more of an opening.
Shots were 8-2. That seems about right in favor of the Hounds. They were outshot last week in Cincinnati for the first time all year. 3 of those 8 were on target for the Hounds. Just 1 offside in the entire match. That by Atlanta United. And there you see Atlanta's possession.
Yeah,
it's the story continuing throughout the season. They have the ball. They're just unable to create as much as their opponents on a consistent basis.
Yeah, it seems like they're stuck in the middle of the field instead of getting down the end, you know, getting into the offensive third with the ball.
So that's your look at it by the numbers. The first ever trip for Atlanta into Pittsburgh. And Paul, you and I were talking off air just a bit ago here at halftime. You started your North American career in Atlanta. So there might be some viewers down there in Georgia who remember Paul Child back in the early 70s.
They got to be pretty old if they do that, Matt. But that's where I began. I came over here on loan from Aston Villa and played in Atlanta for the Atlanta Chiefs. And then I played for the Atlanta Apollos, and then the team went out of the North American Soccer League, and I was put into a draft and went to the San Jose Earthquakes. But played in the Fulton Theater, not the Fulton Theater, the Fulton Stadium.
County Stadium, yeah, the former home of the Atlanta Braves in Major League Baseball, right.
And we looked like ants on the field when people used to watch the game, but it was a great memory and great start for me.
Atlanta. Now, was that a summer league at that time, or was it a winter league?
No, it was a summer league.
So it had to have been, there were some hot matches for you down there.
You bet.
I'm guessing much like there will be this year for this squad as well as the MLS team in Atlanta. It's been cool to see Atlanta join the fray in American Pro Soccer. And they had the Silverbacks of the North American Soccer League now in MLS and USL simultaneously. So Division I and Division II.
Yep.
Well, underway after that trip down memory lane. An Atlanta-Pittsburgh connection for our very own Paul Child here in the booth. I am Matt Geica. I have not played soccer at any level, but I do enjoy calling the games here on ESPN+. It's been a joy, and whoa, that ball almost went into the passing train. We've only seen that a handful of times in the 5-year history of games here.
Yeah.
Adds to the ambiance. So Pittsburgh, I'm sure Bob Lilly liked a lot of what he saw there, Paul.
Oh yeah, he's got to be pretty happy, but Bob's never going to really let on to the team. He's going out there looking at 0-0 right now, and it's get back out there, let's do it again, and get another goal, and then he'll be a little bit more calmer. But yeah, he doesn't ease up on these guys at all. I noticed that at practice on Friday.
Oh yeah.
He's on their case all the time, and Yeah, and he has a good joke with them, and I think he realizes it, but he has a great rapport with his players.
I think any good coach has to have that balance, right? You have to exude the authority, but also you don't want to wear down a team. It's a long season, 34 matches this year, the longest ever in the USL.
Yeah, that's a lot.
We are not even a quarter of the way into this thing in match number 6.
And that's where, you know, you've got to have a good, strong bench too, Matt. You know, good players that can come on and you know, I think he's...
oh, boy, another near giveaway. Sorry about that for interrupting.
And
Metcalf with a careless dish.
And that's where you kind of like want to get other players in there too, Matt. And I think he's going to do that more and more. You know, as games go on, he's going to get players in for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, just so they feel comfortable when they do get into starting positions. And
the Riverhounds feel like they do have a deep roster. And we've seen quite the array early on. It hasn't been a set 11, that's for sure, every time out.
Yeah, and if anybody knows how to do that, Bob Lilly does, because being in the league, and you get injuries all season long, hopefully not bad ones, but there's just no getting away from it. You're going to have injuries on your team.
Joe Greenspan remains out, so does Ben Fitzpatrick, one of the returners. Actually, both Greenspan and Fitzpatrick return from last year's team. Just a handful are back from the 2017 Riverhounds. Over on the far wing.
Nice cross.
Dover slides it into the box, and Kevin Kerr made a run, but it was headed away from him. Ball still up for grabs here. Mohamed Dabo will get there in time.
Yeah, Nico Brett was thinking that might come over that defender's head because he was ready in a chest in position to...
Dover comes clear, nearly hooked up with Kerr, who leapt, but just a couple of inches shy of it. Ray Lee is on the end of this one, though. Lee, the Missourian, holding and giving right on back to the back line. Thomas Vanki Azil, who we discussed at length at halftime.
Good
An early
ball
standout
there
for the Hounds. It was a one-touch from Lee to Forbes, who pulls up. The former Rhino gives off to Ray Lee. He's holding and scanning his options. We'll go right back to Forbes, in fact.
Hounds keeping possession here. Just
bit of a different look, yeah, from the first half.
Real confidence and no rush.
Funky Azil right up into the center circle, but a giveaway that time from Mohamed Dabo. So now the Hounds have to backtrack, and Atlanta has its first chance to make something happen, but Carleton has it intercepted by Dabo, who got right back. Dabo was a dynamo 2 weeks ago, and speaking of dynamos, here's Francois, who was excellent in the first half, but he stripped at the last second before he could pull into the clear.
Yeah, overran the ball and caught it with his heel and stopped it on himself. But,
a near miss that time. Gallagher for Atlanta. He could have taken advantage of a mistake there from Adewale of Pittsburgh, but he was unable to pull it in.
Boy, Lee's got all kinds of space down here. They're giving him, he just ran like 30 yards with nobody putting him under pressure.
Play stretching out a little bit. And that's more common in the second half, where you see some players, I don't want to say lose their positions, but things get, as fatigue set in, things get a little bit unpredictable. Morton, who's just faced the 1/2 chance there off the header, which resulted from a corner in the first half. Kyle Morton otherwise has been relatively unbothered.
Yeah, really hasn't been tested at all.
And that's the way the Riverhounds like it. It hasn't been a goalkeeper show this year. It's been more about the team. Kerr just a step shy of catching up to that one, but he has the throw in.
Quick one to Nico.
Brett receives, sprayed it right back to Kerr, and an incisive ball to Ray Lee, who played it off the leg of Ambrose and out for a Pittsburgh corner kick, the first of this second half.
I thought Ray Lee there was going to fake it because there was too many bodies in front of him, and fake it and backheel it back to Kerr because he was kind of wheeling around the back of him, and that would have been a nice play. It was my vision, but
yeah, you were talking about players having visions in the first half.
Yeah,
you still have them up here.
Oh yeah.
As we discussed, easier to pick things out from up top. Kevin Kerr, another corner kick try.
Boy,
this is a dangerous one, rising up and heading it away briefly was Robinson of Atlanta, and now the Hounds will track it down way out near midfield.
And want it back again. Just not letting the foot off the pedal here and keeping Atlanta penned into their third of the field.
Indeed they are. Ball in hand now for Atlanta. Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit selectsportamerica.com. That's selectsportamerica.com. Receive free shipping on orders over $50. Well, we have to try to find another one of those Select balls, and there it is from the referee's table. Fourth official today, Eric Blackburn, and we are going to be looking at our first substitution of this match. It'll go to Atlanta. Coach Scott Donnelly is ready to pull the trigger here and take Chris Goslin out. Goslin in the midfield, and here we do have the stoppage that allows it. Lagos Kunga, the Angolan, 19 years old. This young man has moved around the world quite a bit, from Angola to Russia to Georgia, and in fact played a little bit in the MLS last year in the US Open Cup. Just at 19, very accomplished.
That's some different places.
It is, yes. I'm not sure it gets much different than Angola and Russia, and now Georgia. He's got quite the triangle going on. So Kunga in, a very early sub in the second half. I always wonder if coaches are just giving one player a few minutes at the start of a second and then they say, all right, that's enough, or if just something popped up early in the second half that caught Scott Donnelly's eye.
Well, I think you make your mind up by the end of the first half and you think, okay, this guy's not doing what I want him to do for me. So then you think about, I'll give him a few minutes and let him see if he gets back into it. And if it's not working out, let's get him out of there and get somebody else in. So they got time to get adapted to the game.
There you go. There's the perspective from Paul Child, and Forbes will have an opportunity. The cross, or pardon me, that was Cristiano Francois over to Brett, and he couldn't handle it, but right there in the dangerous spot of the field.
Yeah, that was a tough ball to even try and, I mean, it was drilled at him and hit him in the midsection, so it was really difficult to do anything with it, and just hit it out of bounds. But again, as I said before, Matt, Hounds keeping Atlanta in their own half and making it difficult for them to get out of there.
The second goal would be key, of course, in this one. And the Riverhounds have defended this lead now for, well, nearly 30 minutes.
There's a nice switch of play by Kerr.
Kerr wearing the captain's armband. He found his man on the far side, but nearly given away in the midfield.
Pretzer.
Funky Azil will take it from Morton. And Funky Azil looks upfield as dusk has fallen on Pittsburgh with the home side ahead by 1. Deep ball. Brett's going to try to chase it down. And he will against Cochran, but the flag is up for offside. Again, the official on the far side with the flag waiting until the Pittsburgh player plays the ball.
Yeah, I think that rule's going to change. They're talking about it, and you know, you can make that call before. I don't know whether that's going to happen soon or what, but it seems like they wait a long time, but they have to make sure he's going to touch the ball. Nobody comes out of nowhere and gets on the end of it.
Exactly. Oh, the Hounds nearly made something happen on the counter. But right there, Robinson for Atlanta. Carleton doubling back. Carleton, number 30.
And won it
has
back
had plenty
again.
of the ball, and the Riverhounds take it away. Pratzner had to lunge.
Yeah, that was a tough ball to do anything with, the way it was, you know, had top spin on it and was bouncing up, and he did well to get a leg on it.
And on this surface too, Paul, it's difficult when it does get that top spin. It almost appears to pick up speed.
Yeah, it doubles in speed, you know, and jumps at you. You know, that's what's nice when, especially when it's rain on this kind of a surface, Matt, because that's when you want to get a top spin on a shot on the goal. It skips in front of the goalkeeper, and woof, it you know, picks up twice the amount of speed and makes it really difficult for keepers to do anything about.
So there's some tips for you young goal scorers at home. If you're playing on the turf, take advantage of it. Almost like a topspin forehand in tennis. As Carleton comes down with it, look out, he's going to have a chance here to find Gallagher, and he does. Gallagher puts it back against the grain. It slides free, and Atlanta's still in possession. Kunga fresh into the game, but he had it stripped and driven out by Funky Azil, who was there on the spot. So now Atlanta United, too, making some things happen. But here's Dabo with a takeaway. Missed on the connection to Kerr, just barely.
Bobby telling him he should have switched it, but a little bit tough to do. I think it was, you know, it was a bobbling ball, but just put too much on it, and Kerr couldn't get to it.
Kerr has that ball go through his legs. This gives Atlanta some time. Atlanta United 2 was shut out in its previous match, and they haven't scored in the opening 57 of this one. But again, Carleton looking upfield.
That's a nice ball.
Here's a lovely ball on Kunga.
Whoops.
Can't keep it in.
Out of bounds, yeah.
Just barely out, but it was out. You could see it from up here, in fact. Goal kick, Pittsburgh.
Atlanta picking up the pace a little bit too now, Matt, and trying to make things change around, because the Hounds have been keeping them in there for the first 10 minutes or so, and now Atlanta trying to create some chances and get some shots on goal.
Morton gets rid of it. Look at that, hit the wall of wind and just drop at the midfield line. That's also to be reminded of. The Riverhounds are working against the wind in the second half, so Atlanta has that.
Yeah.
The elements in its favor.
Yeah, and we don't really realize that when we're up in this booth, that the wind is having that much of an effect on it. And now you can see it was easier for the Hounds going with the wind. Oh.
You could just tell on that boot from the goal kick from Morton that the wind is going to take a bite out of some things. Nearly a steal, and it will be. Nico Brett, 1 goal in this game. Hangs on to it. Edge of the area, off the body and out for a corner. Brett wanted to create something there. Couldn't quite do it, but he'll have to settle for creating the set piece. The second for the Riverhounds in the second half. There you see the flags billowing right behind the Steel Army to our right. Steel Army was well represented in Cincinnati last week, about a 5-hour drive down the interstate. Kevin Kerr, his arm in the air. Can the Hounds make it 2 off the corner? Low driven ball and headed out. Robinson again. He's had a heck of a second half on the clearances.
Yeah, Kerr's
Miles Robinson
hitting some great corners in there. Really driven hard, and the keeper's really doesn't know what to do with them at the moment. He's kind of staying on his line. If somebody times the run right and gets on the end of one of these, just a redirection is in the back of the net.
That was Pittsburgh's 4th corner kick. They've conceded 2. Been impressed by Miles Robinson in this second half on the back line for Atlanta. 21 years old. Played for Charleston last year. 2nd overall pick in the MLS Super Draft last winter, in fact, was Robinson. Volleyed overhead by Oliver Shannon, and it's well done. Picked up by Sandoval against Vanke Azil. Right back to Sandoval, back to the goal. And some pressure from Forbes forces the turnover. Nearly sprinting Francois on the end of that ball, but he couldn't get there. Pardon me, Adewale will have to collide with Gallagher just inside the end line, and Gallagher has it. Dropped it on back, Carleton. Edge of the 18, stripped by Vanke Azil. Calmly gets rid of it off to Kerr, and the Riverhounds have possession, but they give it right away.
Nico there didn't come back for the ball. He was taking a run and hit the ball. He should have come back quicker and kind of helped Lee Ray out. Oops.
Quick foot by Adewale leads to Riverhounds possession, and Francois dishes over to Dover.
Oh, that's a great ball.
Now Brett, a good one off for Francois. Can he get there? It's still loose. I believe he handled the ball. It is not a goal, and that is a good call on the handball. Francois at least making the illusion that he doesn't agree, but I have to say, if we can call it from up here, it's usually pretty obvious, and he gets a yellow card on top of it in the 61st minute. I thought that might be coming.
I'd like to see it again, because I don't think he really...
We will see it again.
I don't think he really... Oh, he just... maybe he did mean it.
It's tough to tell because it hits the head of Christensen at the exact same time, but it does appear that he affected the flight of the ball with the hand. I don't know if it was worthy of a yellow,
yeah, but Matt, he was trying to keep his balance, and it's natural you put your arms out when you're trying to keep your balance and check back, and that's what he kind of looked like. It was a kind of really weird kind of call. He wouldn't get a, you know.
In the penalty area too, I think that also
makes a difference.
It's a higher standard. or pardon me, a lower standard for a call in that spot.
Yeah.
So a close call, to say the least, and a close call by this referee crew. This three-man crew led to the Riverhounds goal too. So game in the balance sometimes at the discretion of, well, tonight the men in red. Boy, the Hounds are still keeping that motor up on the high pressure.
Yeah, I think you're going to see again a lot of possession by Atlanta, but look, really
that one's given away.
Given away again, and
Forbes fighting.
Oh, that's
stripped
a bad
by
ball.
Carleton. Carleton now. He'll find Gallagher over there. Gallagher 3 goals on the year, but Pratzner confronts him and strips it. Clutch defensive play by Todd Pratzner.
Definitely did a real good job there, because Gallagher was on his way to goal.
Pratzner, the Pennsylvania native, one of a couple on this Hounds team. Had the 4th most clearances for Rochester last year. Another one of those former Rhinos that Bob Lilly toted on down the interstate when the Rhinos went dark for this season. And we'll see what becomes of Rochester Pro Soccer, but as for right now, so many of those ex-Rhinos are down here in Pittsburgh and playing well together with a 2-0-3 record. One of 2 unbeatens in the East. Adewale with a strong tackle to take the ball back. Can Lee rather, make a move upfield? He does.
This is where we need to pressure, put this keeper under
Brett will
pressure.
try, yeah. And Christensen pushed it away on the first-time ball. Coach for Atlanta, Scott Donnelly, wanted some call against the Hounds. Instead, play continues upfield. On the loose ball, eventually, it'll be turned around by Forbes. He has Kevin Kerr. He fields it over his shoulder, does Kerr.
And gets it back to Lee.
Dropped it back. That's Ray Lee now. The wing back up into the attack once more. Forbes, what's he going to do with it? Slides the through ball over to Ray Lee. Lee holds, crosses. It was deflected. Right to Forbes again on the clearance. And over to Mohamed Dabo. Dabo on the switch of play. Pratzner, the touch. Francois just there inside the line. And it's out to Atlanta. Promising attack, though, for the Riverhounds in the 64th minute. Let's look at some out-of-town scores. Louisville leads Bethlehem 3-1, so it looks like the Hounds, if they win this match, which is no certainty, but Louisville is going to keep pace at the top of the standings. Louisville came into tonight with a record of 4-0-1, 13 points, solo first in the East. Hounds will take possession, or pardon, they'll have to backtrack here. Charleston over Tampa, 1-0. Just past halftime there as well. And Penn FC, as we look to teams closer, Penn FC trailing North Carolina FC 3-0. Here it's 1-0, Riverhounds ahead, as you can see at the top of your screen on ESPN+. A reminder that the USL's official Twitter feed keeps you up to date with news. Oh, nearly a giveaway. It's Christensen again. Well, just the entire back line for Atlanta. They're a little under pressure, and they've been skittish at times in this one. Look at Kyle Morton ranging well out. Looking to trigger the Hounds counter once more.
Offside there.
Yes, offside. On the far wing, the flag went up. Couldn't quite tell with the battle on the near side. Deflected ball, and Kunga's going to get there for Atlanta. Kunga cutting back against Lee. Played in by Metcalf, and Adewale sliding down to block it. The Hounds get the clear, but not all the way into safety. Robinson, the dish to Cochran, and Cochran tried an ambitious play. Forbes, a couple of Hounds ran into each other. Pratzner and Forbes still loose. Adewale simply pops it upfield.
I don't think he got that where he really wanted to. He saw the player making a run. I think it was I can't tell and see his number from here, but thought he could get a better kick on the ball, and he didn't quite catch it right. Sliced it and went back to Atlanta. But Atlanta now switching the ball really well. And
they've done that well today.
Yeah, I mean, keeping possession again. Now they've gone into the possession mode, but haven't really got any shots off.
Gallagher gave it up. Kevin Kerr putting in a defensive shift from his midfield spot. Plays it square. Pratzner will track it down with some choppy steps inside the touchline and slugs one upfield. Brett couldn't come down with it. It's taken by Metcalf of Atlanta and distributes over to Christensen. 67th minute now. The only goal of the match, Nico Brett from Cristiano Francois in the 26th minute. And here is Francois. Space opens up. Brett right back to Francois. A little too much on that return ball. Goal kick.
Yeah, ran out of real estate
Atlanta.
there, yeah.
As I was saying, you can check all these out-of-town scores on the USL's official Twitter feed. Keeps you up to date, especially on game nights. It's great, up to date with news, live reports, and also highlights from around the league 24/7. That's at USL on Twitter. That's simple. Christensen, he's getting pressed, but an accurate ball to Carleton. He turns and finds his man Sandoval. Devin Sandoval is working 1v1. Vanki Azil won that battle, but Atlanta will take the ball on the throw.
Yeah, I think you're going to see some changes in a little while right now. It's about that time, and
Adewale blasted skyward.
I think you're going to see Zemansky come in. He's getting direction from Bob Lilly right now, and
look at Kerr keep that one alive. Roll the highlight reel. Speaking of the highlights on social media, Kerr, that one might go unnoticed, but it was quite skilled, and he might say a little bit lucky too.
Yep.
Atlanta gives it up though, and the Riverhounds will have possession, and the Riverhounds can make a move. Romeo Parks is coming into the match
first, and then Zemansky, I think, is going to come in again afterwards.
The Jamaican striker Romeo Parks. That's a bigger number board, isn't it, than usual that we have? We can really read that one well.
Yeah.
Down there on the sideline, 69th minute sub for the Hounds in black and gold tonight. Brett is out. Brett, the goal scorer, leaving the game. Striker for striker here for Bob Lilly.
Yeah. Brett coming out for the player that he took his position and got that start and got his goals, and maybe could see Parks come in here and do kind of the same thing that Brett did. Break that ice and get on the scoreboard.
Nico Brett, a different kind of striker than Romeo Parks. Parks at 6'3", 195. Both from the island of Jamaica. Along with Canardo Forbes. Here's a fine ball. Can Francois catch up to the edge of the 18? No, Christensen will find a way to get there first. Christensen getting his heart rate up here in the second half. Ben Zemansky, who started last week and then was subbed out, he'll do the opposite tonight. That 2-2 draw at Cincy, a real test for the Riverhounds on the road. And a test right now, just up by one over a young and hungry Atlanta United 2 team trying to bounce back from a loss on Tuesday. Here's a volley through, maybe a chance for Gallagher. Oh, he couldn't get the shot off. Oh. And Dover clears.
Dover did well there. He lucked out. He got possession of that ball again, because I thought he was going to slip through his legs and Gallagher was going to go for a shot on goal.
The Riverhounds have not been scored against at home. They gave up 2 on the road last week. And the Steel Army were biting their nails as Gallagher, with 3 goals on the season, nearly controlled and fired. Kevin Kerr will come out. He'll cede the captain's armband. Looks like Ben Zemansky will take it. Yeah. Kerr gets a hand. Of course, he's a fan favorite here in his 6th season with Pittsburgh. And a hug for Zemansky, who heads out there. Zemansky, the native of Akron, Ohio. Plenty of experience at the MLS level. The late sign in the offseason. And Kerr gets a pat on the back.
Yeah, Kerr's been really working hard, and he always does anyway. We know that, Matt. So I think, he's well rested.
Lee heads it away. He is, and it's a long season too.
Yeah, sure. He's got to want him in every game, and he's getting up. He's getting older, but not really old.
Still 29 years old, so yeah, he should still have some time left in pro soccer.
You would hope so.
Misfiring here, Sandoval.
But no, it's a clever tactical move too for Bob Lilly. Like you say, there's a lot more games, and they want to use that strength of Kerr, that energy. And this guy Zemansky, he's got the same kind of energy as well. He buzzes all over the place and wins balls, and kind of like is a great replacement for Kerr. They're very similar players.
Again, Sandoval fighting with Adewale. Sandoval has been making a beeline up that right touchline here in the second half. 26-year-old from New Mexico, one of the senior players on the visiting team. Zemansky replacing Kerr, both 29 years old, both midfielders by trade. Morton's going to try to belt this one lower to keep it out of the wind. Did a fairly good job there. Parks unable to win it on the aerial duel. Fed back to Dabo, and Zemansky. Oh, it looked like a good ball at first, but it died a bit.
Yep.
And it'll be scooped up tidily by Ambrose of Atlanta.
Oh.
This is Shannon bumped into by Zemansky. And you know, it was Ben Zemansky who got tangled in the wrestling match against Ottawa here. I forget who the opposing player was at the moment, but it ended up being quite the throwdown.
Yep.
Zemansky is a pesky player, so he's going to make some opponents frustrated. Now he's getting a talking to in his first minute in the match from Kevin Broadley, the referee. 73rd minute here. The game is aging, much to the chagrin of Atlanta United 2. Just the one goal in it. Will there be more? Metcalf and Robinson. Across the back line it goes. Cochran will take it right back here.
Yeah.
Stagnating a bit right now is Atlanta United 2.
Oops.
Oh, put right through the legs of Parks by Metcalf.
I thought Parks was
We were
going
both surprised
to
by
get
that.
back on the end of it, though, too.
Nearly did, and Parks just needs one chance. 6 shots in his first 2 matches this year. That led the Hounds at the time for Parks, but now Atlanta on the attack. And Lee, under some serious duress, stumbles down, and it's a goal kick. So
he never give the free kick.
all that fight was at least worthwhile for possession. But he was tripping over legs, and it was a tangle in this corner nearest us.
You got to just keep fighting the way he did, you know, because you never know what the referee's going to call. You may think it's a free kick or a foul on you, but you just got to keep battling away, and he did that and came away with the corner kick or goal kick anyway.
Yeah, you don't want to assume anything in those dangerous areas.
No.
Other out-of-town scores, Charlotte and Indy, 0-0 in the 71st. Swope Park Rangers and St. Louis, 0-0. Toronto and Red Bulls, both 2 teams, if you will, played a scoreless draw earlier this afternoon. Those are your results. A busy Saturday, as it always is in USL. Well, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who are the highest scoring team in the month of April in the USL, they have 1. That makes 8 in their past 4. Here's a throw from Forbes. Oh my goodness, an extra ball rolled onto the field, and that may have cost Parks a crack at goal. I think it did.
Yeah, I think, I don't know who kicked that ball back out there, but it was a wise decision because he was on the way to goal.
And so the whistle sounded. It's at the jurisdiction of the referee there if he thinks the ball would confuse anybody, and it was close enough. Lee can't get there. That's off of an Atlanta head, though. Ray Lee. He and Jordan Dover have been catalysts on opposite flanks this season.
Boy.
Parks goes up for it, or at least he tried, but Robinson appeared to restrain him a bit, and this will trundle out for the goal kick. Zemansky was reaching too.
Hey, yellow card has been issued to Atlanta United's number 12, Miles Robinson.
Miles Robinson got a yellow card, by the way. I didn't see for what exactly. It might have actually been on that ball knocked back into play. I don't want to assume, but that's my best guess on that. So a yellow issued in the 76th. Metcalf puts it right through Romeo Parks. Parks on the pursuit, but Cochran plays it further.
Yeah, I'd like to see Parks with a little bit more urgency as well, Matt. He's kind of running around there, but he's not really, you know, just shadowing more than anything. You know, when you get a chance and you get back into the game, you want to really kind of make the coach say, boy, I got to make sure he gets in there more often. As you can see here, it's kind of...
Yeah, chasing but not stopping and starting, really.
Yeah.
And, well, you just saw the Riverhounds take it away from Atlanta on Kunga's attempt to create. Now the Hounds will have to work again to get it back. Dabo does. He's good for that.
Oh, no foul.
No foul called there. Carleton will cut back. Vonke Azil pushed him away a bit from the arc. Carleton has 3 yellow shirts between him and the goal.
But
and he wins the foul on the edge of the 18, does Carleton.
Yeah, that's some different calling from the referee.
78th
Didn't
minute.
call the first one and then called the second like that on the edge of the box in a dangerous area.
So a pair of calls go against Pittsburgh in quick succession, and Atlanta has its best chance to tie this match. And we'll get a gander at the replay. Sweeping the leg out maybe was Ray Lee, and the orange boots went up in the air from Carleton.
Yeah, he came away with the ball though. Dangerous position here for the Hounds. They've got to be strong in this wall and not break down and make it real difficult for this free kick.
Ambrose and Carleton will stand over it.
And the wind's blowing pretty good too.
It really is. Look at it pick up.
Yeah.
You can see those flags in the Steel Army starched out. A 4-man wall for Pittsburgh. Carleton over the goal. He wanted it himself. Couldn't finish. We remain at 1-0.
Yeah. I thought that was more, I thought for a left-footed player, number 22, I thought he was going to bend this ball because the opening was on that far right side of the goalkeeper. And
the goalkeeper's right, you mean?
Yeah, goalkeeper's right.
Yes, it would have made sense, but Carleton called his own number in that case. And number 30, with too much on it, or at least too much loft on it, a well-struck ball. But errant. Speaking of errant, into the stands this ball goes.
Oh, well blocked by Szymanski.
Taken by Parks after the Szymanski play, but Parks clumsy with that move upfield. You can tell he's just trying to get his feet under him right now.
I think that's what it is too, Matt. You know, I'm kind of I picked on him a little bit, saying he's not really buzzing, but he hasn't played for a while in the real game. You know, he's been coming back in practice, but we know it's a total different situation, and he's got to get his feet under him.
Adewale whistled for the over-the-back foul. Atlanta United, its offense has dried up in recent games. Just 2 goals over its past 3 after 5 in its first 2. And now deep into the night in Pittsburgh without one. As of yet, they're going to need at least one if they want to pull a point away here at the start of a 3-game trip for this young squad.
And this ball's going to bend into the keeper, I'm sure.
Ambrose rather will do that, but it sails. And with the wind, I think that actually helped.
That's what I thought with that wind. It was blowing, you know, and I thought this guy's going to bend it and it's going to go into the keeper because he didn't allow for that wind and maybe should have, you know, took a little bit of power off it.
The wind is in play. As we said, it was gusting just a moment ago, especially on the free kick. Carleton boxed in by 3 Hounds. Got rid of it in time. And now Gallagher's going to try to pull in this cross, but he can't. Flicking it forward was Kendall Moulin, and Francois with a takeaway. Francois to Parks. Legally, no. It's called a handball. I thought it looked like it was questionable, and they do.
Yeah, that was a great opportunity. He's got to get his body down there, make sure he gets his chest on it, and he's off to the races to goal, you know.
So 2 handball calls for the Riverhounds in the second half prevented golden chances from developing. Here's a flick on as we'll take a look at that replay with Atlanta trying to work something free. It appeared to be off of Parks's left elbow. Forbes has possession for their Hounds, and he sends it ahead. Can Parks get there? He's fouled from behind, and that'll be a free kick.
Should be a yellow card.
And I think it will be.
Yeah.
The card is out.
Oh, red card because it's 2 yellows.
My goodness, so that yellow that almost slid by, unbeknownst to us, ends up costing Atlanta because of Robinson's foul, preventing the clear scoring chance. It's his second red of the season, by the way.
Oh.
So Robinson, call this one a soft red, of course, with the 2 yellows. And there was the trip, no doubt about it. It was a call that you have to make and a yellow that you have to issue because Parks otherwise could have pulled clear. So Robinson's out. That helps the team trying to defend the lead, does it not? And Forbes will line it up with the help of Dabo, it appears.
And Bob Littler's got 3 players down here. His coach giving him a lot of instruction right here.
A little off screen, but
yeah.
Lily's sending Lee and Adewale and Vunky Azil. Well, of course, when a player gets booted from the match, yeah, you have to adjust and remember, reinforce certain things.
And he had time to do it because they was, you know, wasting time. So got the instruction he needed in there. And
Canardo, Forbes, a good bender. That was a firm one. Christensen's going to rise up and punch it. Can he clear it? It's off to Carlton, but he gave it up. Parks looked to cut it back against the grain, but it's taken away. Carlton again. Fine work. He has a high motor tonight.
Oh, what a good chase.
Tremendous tackle by Mohamed Dabo.
Dabo made great effort there.
The Riverhounds, number 21, kept that from heading upfield.
He just hurt himself there.
And he is writhing on the pitch after he came up a little bit shy on another attempted tackle. Mohamed Dabo, the 22-year-old from Senegal, second-year pro, played for Penn FC last year. And he's been a high-energy guy for the Riverhounds. That'll send athletic trainer Tim Smith out.
He did really well there, chasing back and won the ball back, and then he threw himself out there. And as you can see, that player coming right through and caught him right
there,
on the shin.
right.
Oh, he got a yellow card for it as well.
They give Metcalf a yellow. So 3 yellows now for Atlanta, 2 to the same player, which has put them down to 10 men.
I don't know whether that was for the foul or for you know, unsportsmanlike conduct.
It could be actually,
the referee.
because the foul to me looked like 2 guys going for the ball. I didn't see
sure.
any malicious intent there. So you might be right, Paul, in fact, because it came also after the fact.
Yeah, a long time afterwards.
Discipline being handed out by Kevin Broadley.
Dabo's okay.
It looks like he will be able to stay active. I misspoke earlier. I said that it was the second red of the season for Robinson. That's the first red of the season for any Atlanta player. Second yellow leads to the red. Just to clarify there. And so Robinson out. Vunky Azil heads it. Dabo back in. Hounds playing 11 on 10 right now in the 85th minute. Protecting a 1-0 lead. They have still not been scored upon at home here at Highmark Stadium this year. Parks nearly overran it, but clipped it with his heel. That actually helped him out. Parks slowing it down, now speeding it up. The big man from Jamaica fed it over to the near side, and the Hounds play some combination ball. It's Lee nearly into trouble with Gallagher chasing, but Vunky Azil made the cool play. Swung further off the head of Dabo. Francois will give over to Jordan Dover. Dover tries the right-footed play.
Nice switch there.
And he finds Canardo Forbes. Works his way open and fires one off the outside of the goal.
I thought he got a lot of power on that one. If he had just got it inside the post, I think that might have beat the keeper. But Hound's got to kind of settle it down a bit now, Matt. They got to.
This would be the time, and with the manpower advantage, in theory it should be easier, but it never really is when a team is fighting down a goal.
Sometimes you see no free kick there.
Referee says play on. I thought Forbes had drawn one. Now the battle's on here with Gallagher and Carlton.
And the ball's up in the air. You got to get the ball. You got the wind against you. The Hounds need to get the ball on the ground, keep it down on the ground, and keep possession of it, especially when you have a man advantage now. So I'm sure Bob is probably yelling that to them right now. I can see him on the sideline. I didn't see him earlier, but get it down on the ground, keep possession of it, and make Atlanta work.
Forbes to Parks. He's offside. Parks had made a fine heading play over to Forbes to set that whole thing up.
Yeah, Parks has got to look across the field there and realize he's offside and just take that one step or hesitant and get back on side, and then he's going to still get, he's got the speed, he could still get the ball.
The Riverhounds seeking to climb the standings. A big 3 points here would help. Here comes Morton out and ahead of Kunga to avert any potential chance for Atlanta. And let's see if Coach Scott Donnelly of the Atlanta United 2 has anything left in his bag of tricks as far as substitutions go. Playing with 10 men is Donnelly's group. Francois couldn't drive it through the body there, but Francois continues to work as he pulled it away from Cochran, and now he's over here to give to Lee. Lee on the one touch, but past Forbes.
We've got to really keep this down now with the last 3 minutes of the game. I don't know how much extra time, probably a minute or two, but
it shouldn't be a lot. Nothing like last week. What was it, 7 minutes of stoppage time? I don't know if I've ever seen that in the USL or any level, in fact. Francois on the partial break there, but Forbes couldn't get there. Here's Dover taking advantage of a snoozing Atlanta United group. Dover at the edge of the box.
Yeah,
he holds it back.
That's good. Keep possession.
Didn't see a clear chance, so he plays patient soccer.
Yeah.
And the Riverhounds, now with a cool head, work it over to the near side of the field. This is Lee. Oh, he tried to jam that through some pressure and couldn't do it.
But he won it back again. He made up for his mistake.
Slid through. Here's the throw from Atlanta, and Lee is right there. No, he gets called for a shielding violation, I suppose, using his arm.
I don't know what that call is. Is that a free kick? Or?
Oh, we had a substitution that needed to occur. I believe that's why it was, or the play was stopped. Maybe not. No, they're going to keep the free kick. So, okay. Another substitution. Carleton, what a match he's had. He's been great. In fact, very impressed by the 17-year-old. 30 out, Carleton out. And Laurent Kissadou from the Ivory Coast joins the fray in the 89th. Here's a deep ball up into the air, bouncing free. Morton, no trouble on 2 bounces.
And going down on the turf to waste that extra 30 seconds.
I guess so, yes.
Yeah. Well, we've had that done to us a lot too. So
remember Penn FC, they were quite blatant with their attempts to just milk that clock and make it a 0-0 final.
That was a good volley there because it was a driven ball. Like I said, trying to get the ball from going up in the air that comes back at you.
Morton did well, and Parks was the one who got the flick on. Cleared into the stands by the Riverhounds. Ball thrown to the feet of Metcalf. The Hounds are going to make another change here. Francois is going to come out in favor of Hugh Roberts. Roberts, the defender, so the Riverhounds want to drop one of those attackers back. Gallagher, not offside. The Hounds thought he was. Gallagher wins the corner kick as he drove it off the back of Vunkiazil.
Yep.
John Gallagher, 3 goals on the year, and he could desperately need a 4th in order to pull this one even.
Goalkeeper coming up to the halfway line, not going all the way up into the box, but
90th minute, here we go. Maybe the final chance for Atlanta to pull out a draw. The left-footed corner, Morton.
This is where you can...
Sure-handed, hangs on, and the foul is called too. Substitution will occur. Hugh Robertson, as we said. Hugh Roberts, first year with the Hounds. Bethlehem Steel player last year, in for Francois. Yes. 90th minute substitution, make it 91st.
Yeah, he just trying to learn the clock out now.
And I haven't seen a signal on stoppage time yet. There is 7 for 6. Francois, an appreciative Riverhounds partisan crowd, gives him a hand.
What?
They are giving 5 minutes.
Boy, I don't know where that came from, but
5 minutes of stoppage time.
Yeah, that's a strange call from Matt. Maybe 2 or 3, but not 5 minutes.
I'm trying to think back of the times that the play bogged down. Dabo got a little bit of treatment, but he wasn't down for very long.
Maybe the red card.
The red card. There were a couple of yellows, in fact, issued in this second half. So still plenty of work to do for the Riverhounds. John Gallagher is upset for Atlanta. He did not want that ball to be forced forward. He wanted Atlanta to try to work it, build some possession and create a combination play maybe, but instead it's just given right back to Pittsburgh. And like you said, Paul, a chance for Kyle Morton, the Hounds keeper, to
waste some more time
and just clear it out of his end of the field, really. That's as big of a accomplishment as any at this stage of the match. Dabo rising up, can't win it away from Oliver Shannon. This is Sandoval. Losing control is Atlanta, and
we've got to push out.
Cleared up by Zemansky.
Get out of the back here. Yeah, because Atlanta's going to just drive balls in as often as they can high.
And again, it is a 10-man Atlanta side with Parks buzzing by the front of Andrew Kendall Moulin.
Yeah, they shouldn't have any players free either, and that was easily done there.
Yeah, a step ahead from Atlanta. Sandoval turning off to Gallagher. Can he line one up? He does, and
gets a corner
that's
kick.
off a man. That's off a Riverhound, in fact. Might have been out of Wale, who got in front of it, but couldn't keep it in front of him. And so it's a corner in the 93rd minute. The Riverhounds trying to hang on and collect win number 3 out of 6 tries. The other 3 are draws. And in search of win number 3 at home.
I don't know why they would take a short corner here, but
they have 2 men at the corner flag, which confuses me, down to 10 men. Jack Metcalf will launch it. It's over and through and into the box and smothered by Kyle Morton.
Kind of a strange play there, Matt, because you take another player out of the middle and you're already down a player. So you take a player out of the game right there. The 2 standing there and the 1 not kicking the ball. So very strange call, but
Morton keeps this drive low and out.
The Hounds were happy with it.
Into the Hounds bench, yes. Bob Lilly, as he usually is, giving directions. Dover over pursued a bit. He's going to have to hightail it back. We're in the 94th minute.
Yeah,
it's 5 minutes of stoppage time. Hugh Roberts joining the defense crew there on the backside. That was Canardo Forbes who just cleared it. Adewale reaches in. Metcalf the cross. Vanki Azil heads it. Gave it right over to Sandoval, who drives it right through. And to no one in particular, but it's just off the top of the head of Pratzner. And so it's a throw for Atlanta.
This is where the Hounds have just got to be really strong. Make sure they don't give any chances to anybody. And
3 points on the doorstep. A couple more clears should do it. As Forbes couldn't get by.
Back. Yeah, that's good.
Parks runs up and just gives some token pressure to Paul Christensen. That was a fine play all the way over.
Deflected.
Forbes couldn't get his foot all the way around it. And one more throw maybe for Atlanta with close to a half-minute left. Apparently, we'll see when that whistle blows. No, it comes free for a chance, and my goodness.
That was the chance.
Kunga misfiring. And he was right there all alone from 20 yards. But his volley was wild. There it is, the final whistle. The Riverhounds remain one of 2 unbeaten teams in the Eastern Conference. They have picked up the 1-0 victory against Atlanta United 2. Nico Brett's first half goal holds up as the decider. Hounds win it 1-0. They're 3-0-3, and they improved to 12 points on the year. And as an added bonus, the first USL team with 5 clean sheets to their credit. Kyle Morton is yet to be beaten as a pro, and the Riverhounds have yet to be scored upon on their home surface. There you see it. 6 goals to none at Highmark Stadium. They've made Highmark Stadium their fortress in the early going, and they'll head into May, Paul Child, with an undefeated record. How about that?
No, that's a real confidence builder, and I mean, I'm really pleased to see them do that. And hopefully when the weather starts picking up now, we'll get some bigger crowds, because obviously this weather doesn't help being 32 degrees or whatever it is out there at the moment. But a big confidence builder for the team and for the fans. I mean, it's going to be great for them.
We'll pull it right on back on ESPN Plus in just a moment after this break. We'll go over the highlights, some stats, and we'll also say goodnight from Pittsburgh. Thanks for watching. A little bit more to come, though. Please stay with us after this.
Now, where does it hurt the most? When you have it all the way straight?
Down
in
here.
there.
It started really hurting, and it was really hard if I like stood on it.
It's a little patellar tendonitis, or jumper's knee is the other thing.
How's that feel?
It feels better.
Call 412 Doctors for a same-day appointment at Allegheny Health Network.
Through the years, you've done right by investing in your home. And now, you can use that equity to borrow money for the things you need. With a low 1.99% APR and no fees, you can apply for a home equity loan online and use the money to upgrade to that minivan, make home improvements, or finance college. At Clearview, we can help you find ways to use the equity in your home for more important things. Let us help. Visit us online for more information. Clearview Federal Credit Union, the next generation of personal banking.
A lot of clients ask us what makes us different. The first thing that comes to mind for me is Joyce's signature collection. We truly are jewelers. We're passionate about jewelry. We understand the process of making jewelry and what it takes to make the highest quality product at the best value. We travel the world to bring back and create the most unique diamond jewelry collection that you will find anywhere. If you've never shopped Joyce's, I personally invite you to visit our store. I know you're gonna love it.
At Joyce's Jewelry.
Back to put a bow on this thing from Highmark Stadium. There you see your final score on ESPN Plus tonight. The final Saturday of April reveals a victorious Riverhounds team. For Coach Bob Lilly, 3-0-3 is Pittsburgh after edging Atlanta United 1-0. How'd they get there? Well, we'll show you right now. Attacking in the first half, and the Riverhounds were frisky from the start here, Paul. They were sending some crosses in and some near misses, in fact.
Yeah, they was
early on,
causing Atlanta some problems, and this was a great takeaway and a great fake by Nico, and just slotting that ball in the bottom left-hand corner of the keeper. You know,
Brett with the polish off of Francois' takeaway. So Nico Brett has 4 goals, all at home. He had the hat trick against Toronto, and he leaves another keeper falling in frustration. This was maybe the best chance for 2-0, but yeah. Kerr drove it right into the keeper's breadbasket. The header by Cochran there in the first half, and that was really it.
The only chance I think Atlanta really looked like they could have scored.
Francois, well, here was, it could have easily been 3 in the first half, and well, Francois was heavily involved in all those chances. And there will be one more. Well, yeah, could have been 3, could have been 4 with Dover on the end of here.
Yeah.
And denied by Christensen. Free kick chance, well, yeah, there's a great opportunity as well. And there was the yellow card that ends up costing Atlanta, because then the tackle by Miles Robinson is the second yellow, leading to a red, and Robinson has to rue his decision to try to delay the game earlier. Forbes on the cutback here.
Boy.
Got all of it, but just misfiring.
Yeah, that was a good opportunity. And then this corner kick.
Just a bobbling ball.
Yeah.
It was going wide of the net, but Morton made sure to keep it in play and not allow another corner kick to happen. So, in fact, Atlanta does well in the second half, even when they went down a man. Pittsburgh just had the 1 shot in the second half for 9 total, none on frame in the second half for the Hounds. And Atlanta picked up 4 shots in the second half, and they had the majority of possession once again, but for the second consecutive match, no finish for Atlanta.
Yeah, 1 real chance, Matt, out of 60% possession, and really getting 1 or 2 chances at the most.
And no official shots, apparently, because that Cochran header in the first half was tipped off of a Riverhound body. And there you see the yellow cards piling up. That's it for us from Pittsburgh. Riverhounds back in action here in a couple of weeks. We'll talk to you then, as they will host Indy 11 on May the 11th. And Atlanta continues its 3-game trip after this at Cincinnati next week. Riverhounds on the road next week, in fact, at Toronto FC 2. Thanks again for joining us. For Paul Child, I'm Matt Geika on ESPN Plus. Hounds win it 1-0.
Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.